Hari Om, Namaste to everybody present here. So let me start my topic with a Mangalacharana. Ragadirogan satatanushaktan asheshakaya prasritan asheshan autsukya moharatidan jaghana yo purva vaidyaya namostu tasmai. This shloka means I pray and I respect, bow down to all the physicians before me, right now with me and after me, so that we can all embark on this journey to relieve patients and the whole of humanity and life of diseases like attachment, aversion. The Gita of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the science of life, which is given in the Ashtanga Hridayas. Ayushav Palakam Vedam Upavedam Atharvanaha. It is an Upaveda of Atharvana Veda, and it teaches us how to lead our life. And Gita is also such a guide which tells us how to live life. The introduction, we will learn about the location of diseases according to Ayurveda, impurities of the mind, treatment of mental disorders, and Ayurvedic treatment modalities. The impurities of the mind are Rajas and Tamas, and the places where we can actually get a disease, where disease manifests, are by body and mind. The Manasaroga Cikitsa, or the treatment line for mental disorders according to Ayurveda, is Dhi Dhairya Atmadi Vijnanam Mano Dosha Aushadham Param. So the best medicines for diseases related to the mind are intelligence, courage, and self-restraint, and especially Atmadi Vijnanam, which refers to the knowledge of the self. And this is my topic for today. Further, I would like to talk about a specific disease called Unmada and a cikitsa given for it, or treatment given in the Charaka Samhita. It says specifically that psychotherapy is very much indicated in a patient who suffers from insanity. So for example, if he's lost somebody dearly, for example, a woman lost her newborn child. So the way we can console the person with this is bringing another child who is similar in features and similar in age to the child that she has lost, so that it assures her. So this is one method, and there are many things given in this regard. In continuation, it says Ashvasayet Suhridva Tam Vakir Dharmartha Samhitaihi. So we should console the person with religious and moral statements. Also, it tells us to surprise the patient and give massage to the patient with mustard oil or sashapataila, and tie the patient with ropes. And all these methods seem really harsh, but what we're actually trying to do is stimulating the indriyas or senses of the patient through touch, perception and hearing and sight and other indriyas. The non-pharmacological therapies include tying the patient up, beating the patient with whips, and confining him to a lonely room. The patient can also be terrorized with the bites of snakes, but with their fangs removed, so actually no injury is done. Also, he can be made afraid of and terrorized by royal personnel or police. So what we're actually doing through all these methods is, the danger to the life is above the fear of any injury to the body. So we want the patient to understand this, and therefore the perverted mind of the patient gets distracted from all directions and gets pacified, and he regains the normalcy or equilibrium of his doshas and dhatus by all these measures. Further on, it gives regard to spiritual therapies like worshipping Lord Shiva, who is said to be the whole manifestation of Shuddha Sattva, or the purity of mind. So all these daivavyapāśraya cikitsa are given in importance. We can classify this as daivavyapāśraya spiritual therapy, yuktivyapāśraya the medicines that we administer, and satvāvajaya cikitsa. Satvāvajaya cikitsa helps us control our mind, control ourselves from doing any harm or taking in the causative factors which are responsible for disease again. And the Bhagavad Gīta also says in regard to daivavyapāśraya that sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So we must always worship the God or the supreme reality to get rid of our shortcomings. The objective of my whole research is keeping the sutra Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam from the Bhagavad Gīta in mind, and also Vijnanam Aushadhinam from the Charaka Samhita, which is an Ayurvedic text, in mind, to understand that knowledge is best among medicines. And this is in regard to mental disorders as well. And my paper is a theoretical exploration of references across the Gita and Charaka Samhita and other Ayurvedic texts to understand the utility of this Atmadi Vijnanam, the knowledge of the self, in psychotherapy. We know that we're made of 24 tattvas according to Sankhya, and this is very well mentioned in the Bhagavad Gīta as well as Charaka Samhita. Mahabhutanyahankaro buddhiravyaktamevacha indriyani dashaikancha panchachendriya gocharaha. So these are the tattvas, and among them sattva, rajas and tamas are the trigunas. What Ayurveda further says is that there are 24 tattvas, and because of rajas and tamas, we are being influenced to perform negative activities. And if we get the dominance of sattva, sattva vridhya nivartate, says the Charaka Samhita. And Bhagavad Gita says, Yada sattve pravriddhetu pralayam yanti deha bhrityam. So whoever has more of sattva, they can go into the urdhva lokas. And who have more of rajas, they will be born among people who are interested in more of work and action. Who are more tamasic in nature will be born as people in the lower births, as one in the animal kingdom. Why am I talking about all of these is this chapter, Charaka Samhita Sharirasthana chapter 1, which is Katita Purushiyam Adhyayam, talks about how we can educate a patient about his own cause of diseases, why we suffer, and put an end to it. And this whole process is called cikitsa. And this patient education and counseling becomes so important. Once he or she understands the cause for his disease, he's easily able to understand the ways to eradicate it. And upadha is said to be the cause of all diseases. Upadha, that is the desires. Desires cause misery. And Bhagavad Gita also mentions yuktah karma phalam tyaktva shantim apnoti naishtikim. So if we offer our results of all our actions to God, then we are like a karma yogi and we attain everlasting peace. And Ayurveda also mentions the same thing, and that physician who is able to give us that experience of being devoid of desires, he is doing the supreme treatment by avoiding the root cause of the cause of diseases itself, which is upadha. And it says, upadhahi paro hetur dukkha dukkhāśraya pradaha. Upadha is the root cause of all diseases. Further, it goes on to talk about prajna paradha, talks about how dhi, dhriti and smriti, getting impaired, is the cause of all diseases, and intellect getting impaired. The solution for this is given as yoga and moksha. And how to attain moksha is mentioned as constantly remembering the fact that the soul and the body are different. These are a few of the smriti enhancers given in Charaka Samhita, like Manduka Parni, Yashti Madhu and Guduchi. And in Sushruta Samhita, it gives a few practices that we can inculcate, like continuously studying Satatadhyanam, Vadaha, Paratantravalokanam, and not withholding our natural urges. So by understanding this, we can use these modules to gain knowledge of the self as a framework for psychotherapy. This is what we have just looked at, that this could be a thought process, a framework to understand how can we relieve a patient of his sorrows by letting him understand the root cause of his suffering and understanding the ways to eradicate it through yoga and moksha. These are my references. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and it's time for the questions. Hi Sriprada.
Namaste.
Yeah, it was a nice presentation, and I have one doubt that do you incorporate all these things into the practice field of Ayurveda or something, or do you experiment all these things?
Yes, so in the place where I'm practicing right now, I'm in my internship at SDM College of Ayurveda and Hospital, Hassan. It's in Karnataka. In our hospital, we have 16 departments. So whenever we get a patient to any department, like for example from Prasuti Tantra or Gynecology, or we get it from Shalakya, the ENT, if we see that the patient is suffering from any mental trauma along with his physical disease, we always refer the patient to the Manasaroga department. And that department deals a lot with satvāvajaya cikitsa, and we help the patient to understand such concepts.
So then you can, this is like a theoretical paper analysis, right?
Yes.
So why do you consider it as like an experimental kind of research or something?
I have not mentioned that it's an experimental research. I said that this is theoretically it can be used as a framework for psychotherapy. Using the Shastras, I have made this theoretical declaration. We need to do further studies to understand its effectiveness, and this is just a literary review background.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Sriprada.
Namaste. Hari Om.
Can you explain more about the non-pharmacological treatment part?
Okay, one second. So that is specific to Unmada Cikitsa. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so in Unmada Cikitsa, it actually gives you so many pharmacological drugs too, like Kalyanaka Grita, Paishachika Grita, and Brahmi. And there are so many drugs it tells you. And it also tells you Vihara, Ahara, Vihara, and Aushadha. These are interesting because they actually are not present today. Today, we don't terrorize the patient through these methods. These are something that are specific and unique to Ayurveda. So tying him to a wall and beating him, confining him to a lonely room, what this does is it completely stimulates him and makes him aware of his surroundings. So he's more oriented once he's put into these threatening situations.
Okay, thank you.